It's a scorching hot midsummer's day here at Airfield, and I'm taxiing out for a bit of strip flying to a tiny private farm strip in Norfolk called Moley. But before that, we're going to pop into Crowfield, an airfield just 20 minutes flying time away with 2 marked grass runways, a nice clubhouse and flight training. It's actually very similar to here at Airfield. However, there is one big difference. Airfield is licensed by the CAA or Civil Aviation Authority, but neither Moley nor Crowfield are. So what difference does it actually make, and how are runways categorised here in the UK anyhow? Well, today we're going to find out.
Oh, let's get up into some cooler air. It's so hot and sticky here. 29C. Quite a strongish wind. Actually saying that, it seems to have died down a little bit now, but it's a bit gusty. But all in the greens, green, green, green. Let's go. Airspeed's just coming alive, airspeed's alive, wind's from the left. Okay, there we go, airborne. Crank it into wind. A little bit of stink there as we're going past the trees, and then we'll get hit again when we get past the trees. There we go, nice bit of bumping around. Kind of expecting that.
Radar 10x29, Romeo Whiskey, descending flight level 100, speed 220.
So we've left Airfield and we're on our way to a place called Crowfield. It's not too far away. I'll show you on the map where it is. But today I want to do something that I always kind of do. It's like, I am a single day pilot. So what does that mean? It means that I kind of like to be there, wherever I'm going, I like to be there and back in a day. I'm not one for staying away. I never seem to have enough time to stay away. In the past I've done that, I've flown to other countries, stayed overnight, stayed for a few nights, but that was in the old days. Now, generally I want to get back home. I'm probably a weekend warrior, and just like to fly mostly at the weekends. And this isn't my full-time job. I have a job, a full-time job enjoying myself. So yeah, so what I wanted to do was show you the difference between the types of airfield. I mean, what makes an airport an airport? What's an airport? What's an airfield? What's a farm strip? I know the flyers amongst you probably know that already, how we'd classify it.
In the UK, it's not the runway that's licensed, it's the entire airdrome, and that licence is issued by the Civil Aviation Authority. A licensed airfield or airport has to meet set standards for safety, runway condition, emergency cover and formal operating procedures, and it's inspected and overseen by the CAA. Outside of that, most flying locations in the UK fall into 4 broad categories, and today I'll be using 3 of them in this one flight. At the very top of the scale are airports. These are built for commercial passenger and cargo flights with full air traffic control, fire and rescue services and instrument approaches. They're the big busy hubs of aviation with terminals, scheduled flights and highly structured operations. Next down the scale is the airfield. This is where most general aviation and flight training takes place. Airfields can be licensed or unlicensed. They have maintained runways and you'll usually find a radio service on frequency. And this is exactly where we departed from today, my home base at Airfield. Then we move into the world of the airstrip. These are unlicensed and usually private, almost always requiring PPR with grass runways and limited or no facilities. Crowfield is one of these, unlicensed and a perfect example of that step away from the more structured airfield environment. And finally, the smallest and most personal of all, the farm strip. A private strip on farmland with no services, no markings, no radio and well, usually no facilities whatsoever. The little strip at Moley, our ultimate destination today, is a perfect example of this. All we have is just a neatly cut runway between the crops and the owner's permission to use it. Okay, back to the flight, and I'm just turning onto a fairly long final for Crowfield.
Oh.
They're using the 740 metre or 2,400 foot runway 30, giving me a fairly strong crosswind component. And to top that off, the summer thermals are making this approach rather uncomfortable.
19 knots crosswind now. I think that wind's going to go as soon as I get below those trees. Speed's good. Carrying a little bit extra for those gusts. Yeah, that's where it goes. Nice.
So I've landed at Crowfield and wandered into the clubhouse, and it's actually a lovely little setup. Quiet today, just the radio operator holding fort, but he tells me they've got a flight school here, they've got fuel, and the runways are kept in really good condition. And when you look around, you'd easily think this place was a licensed airfield. It has a lot of the facilities you'd expect to find at one. But interestingly, Crowfield isn't licensed. And there are a lot of reasons why an airfield might choose to stay that way. Licensing comes with extra regulation, inspections, paperwork and ongoing costs. And for many GA airfields, especially quieter ones like this, it simply isn't necessary for the kind of flying they support. The trade-off, of course, is that being unlicensed means there are certain operations you can't do here, like commercial public transport or specific types of training that require a licensed aerodrome. But for private flying, for local training, for people passing through, places like Crowfield work beautifully. It's part of what makes UK GA so varied. You get these well-kept, friendly, capable airfields that choose to stay simple, flexible and unlicensed by design.
So, Crowfield, nice place. Limited movement, so I'm not sure whether I can come back again anytime soon. They've got very limited movements here, and they've got a flight school. So this class, actually, I thought it was more of an airstrip. It's probably more of an airfield now. And speaking to Neil in there, yeah, I'd say this is probably more of an airfield because it's got training on it. It's unlicensed, but yeah. And it's very, very nice. It's a little bit bumpy at places, but mostly smooth. Apparently it does suffer in the winter though with flooding and stuff, so in the summer like this it's rock hard. It is so hot on the ground here, back up to 29.
I depart Crowfield on the same runway I landed on, then turn in a northerly direction and climb up to 6,000 feet in the hope of finding some cooler air. I love the visibility you get from our unrestricted canopy, however in the summer it can get so hot. We do have a blind, but it gets in the way of the camera I mount to the top of the canopy, so I just kind of suck it up.
16 degrees C, and now I've got to go down. That's annoying. Only got 7 miles and I've got to lose about 4,000 feet before I even get in the overhead. What a day. But look, so where are we? I know there was a load of, I think that's it there, because I remember there's some buildings to fly over. That's the one. That's it. I can't really, I don't know if you can see, it's that with the buildings in front of me. And we are still 4,000, just going through 4,000 feet.
Golf Mike Uniform, Mike Yankee, you Tuxton sir, 3,000 feet descending. Moley traffic, Sport Cruiser, final 26, Moley.
60 knots, runway's clear.
On final now for Morley's runway 26, and although the wind is still a little sporting, it does appear to be sort of kinder down the runway some of the time. With these private strips there's no play and very little to help you, which is why you need to do your preparation carefully beforehand and ensure you get a proper brief from the strip owner. This is why farm strips can be a little intimidating, however it's the reason why I absolutely love them.
Welcome to Moley. What a lovely strip, this is beautiful. Gonna try and park under this tree. Keep it cool. Yeah, look, that wind is quite strong across the runway there. Anyway, welcome to Moley, our farm strip.
Well, welcome to Moley. This is a great place. What a beautiful strip. Park the aircraft under the tree for a bit of shade. Oh, this is idyllic. How I'd love to have a place like that. Quite gusty, and it was very, the wind is really moving around on the approach. Although it's sort of looking like it's down the runway at the moment. So I've just been able to speak to the owner, and what a lovely guy. I mean, to let you land in his back garden. I mean, basically this is his back garden. And I've just thought that the most important thing when doing this is to be respectful. Now, I've spoken to the owner, just spoken to him. As I say, really nice guy. Doesn't want to be on camera, I totally understand that. Also, I've asked him if I could do a little bit of filming just for the channel, and he said, yeah, no problem, can you not get the house in? That's totally understandable. You know, we're in the middle of nowhere here, and people see what's here. You know, you worry about your security. So yeah, he's got a lot of the land around the strip. He keeps it just for himself. He doesn't have any residents. There isn't anyone here that stays here. There's only one aircraft here. It's a Piper Archer that he flies from here. And asked him about the winter, asked him how the strip is in the winter. He said it's not brilliant, it doesn't drain well. I said, well, what happens then? He said, well, I don't fly. So yeah, it's really, really lovely place. Wind, I mean, it kind of is favouring the runway. It seems to be mostly down the runway, but it is really gusty, and with the heat as well. We're up at 30 degrees C at the moment, and the heat really does cause a lot of thermals, especially going over those greenhouses on short final. Got a bit of a lift on those, but yeah, runway's plenty long enough. We only used half of it anyway. But yeah, so I'm gonna have a little mooch around, and then I'll head back.
Okay, here we go.
Morley traffic, Charlie Zulu, full cruiser departing runway 26 Morley.
Revs are okay, T's and P's are okay, SP's alive.
Climbing away from Moley, and even though there's almost nothing here in terms of facilities, these little farm strips are still my favourite places to visit. There's a simplicity and a quiet privilege to them. Just you, the aircraft, and a runway cut between the fields. Today really shows the range of flying we get in the UK. We started at Airfield, my licensed home base, with proper procedures, training aircraft and all the structure that comes with a regulated airfield. Then there was Crowfield, unlicensed, quieter, more relaxed, but still with great runways and friendly people. And finally Moley, the complete opposite end of the scale, a tiny private farm strip with nothing but a windsock and permission to land. Three completely different types of places, all in one gentle summer flight, and that's exactly why I love flying small GA aircraft here. You can go from organised and busy to peaceful and personal in the space of an afternoon. Now it's time to head back to Airfield, but I'll remember this one. Days like this are what make farm strip flying so special. Fly safe guys, and Shortfield out.